Hello again and welcome. Last episode I spoke with CEO and Chief Learning Officer Dr. Guido Minaya, taking a deeper look at the different levels of evaluation and measurement. Moving on, this episode I will be continuing my conversation with Dr. Minaya on evaluation and measurement, looking at return on investment. Stay tuned to learn more. So we've talked a lot about the different levels of evaluation and measurement, especially levels 1 through 4, with briefly mentioning that there was a level 5, and that would be ROI, which is return on investment. So coming into that, why is ROI important?
Dr. Jack Phillips added to the first 4 levels of evaluation that Donald Kirkpatrick introduced, and Phillips shined a light on the importance of return on investment, ROI. And really his book, Return on Investment in Training and Performance Improvement Programs, is a must-have for learning and development professionals. Why do it? Demonstrated contribution to business results. That's one of the primary reasons, let alone the credibility and accountability of the program that a learning and development organization has put together, as well as continuous improvement and stakeholder engagement. So there's some really meaty reasons as to why to do this. We presented a workshop last year to about 70 L&D professionals in healthcare, and the topic was training and evaluation. We compared the levels of evaluation to like types of dances. For example, like level 2 was more like pre-course, post-course tests, which is sort of like the 2-step, like in the Urban Cowboy movie with John Travolta and Deborah Winger. Level 5, which is return on investment, is much more involved with more moving parts. And it's almost like the tango, which is a very intricate dance that requires both dance partners to perform these moves in a synchronized way. The level of partnership is extensive, and much like the partnership the learning and development team needs to have with the business.
So you mentioned that level 5 is associated kind of with a tango, with how intricate it is and with multiple piece parts. So what are the piece parts of an ROI evaluation?
It's almost like you're putting a puzzle together, and one of the key parts is, what is your evaluation framework, right? What are the operating standards that you've agreed to with the business? And then there's the actual return on investment methodology model, which has 12 key steps. So those are the piece parts that are included in developing a good ROI solution.
Okay, so those are the piece parts. How is ROI calculated then?
Well, when you're looking at planning the evaluation, it'd start with aligning the program that you're developing with the business. It's looking at, is it feasible to do an ROI analysis on the program? So selecting the right learning and development solution to conduct an ROI analysis is an important component of it. Ideally, you plan that you're going to be successful given that you can find the data needed for the results. And then you actually go into collecting the data. So in collecting the data, as an example, you might be looking at the level 2, the learning that took place, as one of your data points. You make sure that this kind of learning matters to the business, and you're looking at reaction, you're looking at learning. And then you're also looking at level 3. Is there a behavior change? And a level 4, are there business results? So those are some of the key data points that you're going to be looking at as you then move into the ROI piece. When you're looking at the ROI piece, you're analyzing the actual data points that you've received, right? What were the isolated components of the data that impacted the program? And then one of the most important pieces is, how do you convert that data into monetary value? So if I've increased sales, exactly by how much? And you want to also look at, how much did it cost you to create this training and development program that's solving for this issue? So that's important. So you've got, what are the actual results, converting it into monetary value, what are your costs? And there may be some intangibles that are also part of your analysis. As an example, you may have designed something strictly and only for the US, But then you find, wait a minute, this is applicable in Canada, this is applicable in our Europe operations. So what are some of those intangibles that you didn't necessarily foresee, but that the program could also provide results in a success around that? And lastly, as you finish your analysis of the data and you're ready with your final results, how do you effectively tell the story? How do you communicate the results to your stakeholders? And this is important not only because you're proving out that that initiative was successful, but this may lead you to other opportunities, other initiatives that are mission critical to the organization, and potentially other funding levels that your organization can receive to conduct these kind of programs.
Having spoken so much about evaluation and measurement, what are some examples of an ROI initiative that you've been involved in?
Some recent examples might be, we work with a healthcare client and we're able to develop a curriculum for charge nurses, right? This was in essence helping the charge nurses become leaders in their units, on their floors. And there was a baseline metric taken in terms of patient satisfaction scores. And then we were able to compare those same scores a year after that program was introduced. And we saw a improvement in patient satisfaction attributed to charge nurses going through this program. Another example is we helped a food manufacturing company move towards an e-learning version of their process improvement program. And this helped them scale the program throughout the world, and it resulted in definite monetary gains based on several process improvement projects that they undertook globally. So these are good practical ways of looking at high stakes initiatives, getting your baseline data, and then comparing it to the improvements that are made a year or two after the program is put in place.
Well, again, thank you for sharing about the 5th level of evaluation and measurement, return on investment. In our next episode, we'll be hearing about an innovative evaluation and measurement tool. Until next time.